can hear it.
Players that they're not getting down about that loss.
Oh, you say disappointments. I don't see us disappointments.
The fuck? Turn this off. Turn this off. Bro, not disappoint. You lost to Georgia Tech with a freshman quarterback. You're not disappointed? Why are you playing football? You should quit. Go home. Go to school. Go to school for a living. You should just go get your degree and go work for somebody else. Because you sure enough can't play. You're not disappointed that you lost a football game, bro? A conference game at that to Georgia Tech? You thought Georgia Tech was a worthy opponent? I want to ask people for real. How many points you think Clemson's going to score on you?
Hey guys, it's Terrence Mann. You're listening to Hear the Spear presented by Noel Game Day. Go Noles.
Hey, what's up? This is Peter Ward, a.k.a. E-Dub, in the house. We're listening to Hear the Spear presented by Noel Game Day. Go live, go Noles.
Hi, this is Charlie Ward, and you're listening to Hear the Spear. Go Noles.
This is Terrell Buckley. You're listening to Hear the Spear presented by Noel Game Day. No Bloody.
But perhaps better known as the greatest corner to ever step on a football field, Deion Primetime Sanders.
Great Deion Sanders, my brother. What's going on, man? I could wake up to that greeting every day, man. That was awesome.
Hello, Noles fans. This is former Seminole Derek Brooks, and you're listening to Hear the Spear, presented to you by Noel Game Day.
James Wilder Jr. What's going on, James?
Thanks for having me on. SSOD, Florida State or Die, and go Noles.
William Bar None Floyd.
Gentlemen, what's up?
What's happening, guys? This is Logan from Hear the Spear, presented to you by Noel Game Day. I am Logan Robinson, the founder and owner here at NoelGameDay.com. It is October 1st, Thursday afternoon. It's 5 days after Florida State's dismantling loss to Miami 52-10. I got my three co-hosts with me this afternoon. I've got Nate Greer, our lead recruiting insider. We've got Austin Beasy, our lead basketball writer. And we got up to the top left, Dustin Lewis, our lead writer and editor. What is happening, gentlemen? A beautiful day in Tallahassee, Florida, hopefully overall. But what's going on?
What up?
What's up, fellas?
Same shit, different day.
It is. Is everybody doing good? We've had 5 days after that game. I've got a different background.
I'm great, man. I'm ready to see a youth movement, and I'll be clicking that game off if I don't see it on Saturday.
Nobody else talks. Everybody's quiet. What is happening? Is it everybody's ready for basketball season? What's going on?
I mean pretty much.
Yeah. At this point, I'm just right. We're what, 55 days? We're
moving on.
Yeah.
Moving on to what?
Basketball.
Y'all some quitters, man.
You're gonna quit after this Saturday,
quitters, man.
I cannot be a quitter. That's my main priority. Let's be real here.
We got listeners. We got to be here to chat. So time to wake up. But always, you can listen to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play. We've moved on from SoundCloud. You guys have probably noticed, but YouTube is rocking. So make sure you guys go subscribe over there. You'll be notified every time we release a new episode. We gave our live reaction right after the game against Miami. So that's something that probably everyone needs to go listen to if they're interested. Later in this episode, I've got a snippet from Carlos Williams, and he gives his thoughts on a Florida State offensive lineman from about 2 weeks ago that mentioned that the Georgia Tech game was not a loss, or not a disappointing loss. And that's a 2013 national champion guy that went to the playoffs in 2014. And he gives a pretty interesting reaction. So that'll be later on in the episode. But yeah, I say we go ahead and get started real quick. Just initial thoughts. We're 5 days now after the game in Miami. What are y'all's initial, what is the thought process for you guys right now heading into a game on Saturday, which will be at home at 4 p.m. in Doak Campbell Stadium against Jacksonville State?
I think Nate already kind of nailed it on the head earlier. If it's not a youth movement, it's going to be really disappointing for a lot of fans because we're tired of seeing the same things that we've seen for 3 years. We got to see these guys that want to go out there and play for Florida State.
And I think that you've got to be going into this game not expecting to blow out Jacksonville State. To me, this is going to be a dogfight to the very end against an FCS team that's been very successful over the past couple of years.
Youth movement, and I need to see youth movement. And honestly, FSU hasn't shown me anything for me to come in any kind of confident to think that they're going to come in and cover a 27-point spread. That's just asinine. But
I don't think they'll score 27 points.
I think Florida State fans got to be humbled right now. That the fact that this team is that awful that we're not sitting here talking about the realistic possibility of losing to Jacksonville State. That's awful.
I agree. And coming into this season, I think me, you, and Logan predicted Florida State to win 8 games.
Yeah.
So how stupid do we feel right now?
I'm sorry.
We shouldn't be allowed to do podcasting ever again. I don't. Well, a lot of people in the last 3 years, a lot of people should cancel their shows, but we have some kind of entertainment. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be a gorgeous day on Saturday. I don't know. I always try to find optimism in things. That's pretty much all I can go now as to weather. But, I mean, I agree with Dustin. I don't know if Florida State's going to score 27 points, and they still got to score more than that to cover. I mean, because Jacksonville State's going to put Jacksonville State this is their first game of the season. They've got a quarterback, which we'll get into when we get to the preview. But this defense right now and the defensive line has been really, really disappointing. And once again, you're going to have to rely a lot on that defensive line to get after that quarterback that not only can throw the ball, but he can run if he needs to. Mm-hmm. And that's been a huge problem. I mean, we've got stats that we'll look into when we preview the game, but this quarterback is going to be once again a problem. But I more want to go into back and look at Miami and think about like what do you think is the biggest concern for Florida State starting off this season? What is the biggest one to you guys personally, in your own opinions?
The entire team. I mean, defensively, their front four has been way below expectations. They had 0 pass rush. They have square pegs for round holes at linebacker, guys who can't cover space. You have pieces in the backfield, guys who are, in my opinion, very good defensive backs. But if your defense can't put pressure on the quarterback, it doesn't matter how good you are as a DB. You're going to get burnt. You're going to get beat. That's just how it is. While Florida State has done a good job of flipping that linebacker room over the last couple of years, they still don't have guys that are comfortable in space. They still have guys who are hitting the wrong one fit. They still have guys who are dodgy contact. So, when you talk about guys that want to play football, I don't see it. Especially on defense, you have to have a certain mindset to want to stop someone. You want to put your body on the line to stop an offense from scoring. And when guys are purposefully throwing the wrong hole to avoid contact, that just tells me they're not the right person that probably should be playing football. But you can't generate a pass rush. It doesn't matter what you have on the back end on defense, because the quarterback's going to have all day. And for offense, the fact that they're still possibly charting out James Blackman after what we've seen for, 3 years, I just think it's god awful. I'd rather just punt on first down instead of letting him play quarterback, because you know what you're going to get. You're going to get a great first drive because it's scripted and you practice it all week. And then after that, you're going to get a guy who can't stay in the pocket, happy feet, awful throws. We've discussed it ad nauseum. So it's very concerning for someone who almost feels like he's regressed from the last few years. So that's one reason why I want the youth movement, because you have guys who are going to go out there and at least try. You're going to make mistakes. They're going to be out of position. They're going to miss a tackle. they might drop a pass, but they're going to come back and try harder, and they're going to put forth the effort. And the fact that these guys just don't want to compete is a huge concern.
Yeah, and I agree with a lot of what you just said there, Nate, especially about the defensive line and not being able to generate any kind of consistent pass rush. I mean, we saw it the first drive and the second drive for Miami. Florida State's defense did really good on first and second down, forcing them into those third down situations, 3rd and 7s, I think a third and 10, 3rd and 5, a 4th and 1 as well after they didn't get it on 3rd down and went for it. And time and time again, Florida State's defense just got burned. I mean, there was nothing they could do to stop them. And those are the kind of situations that you've got to be able to get out of, especially early in a rivalry game. I mean, I think the first drive, Miami went 4 out of 5 on 3rd down and 1 out of 1 on 4th down on the way to that touchdown. And then the second drive, they came out and did the same thing. So it's really embarrassing when you look at all the hype that defensive line got over the offseason. They've come into the season and done jack shit. And people on my Twitter just keep saying, well, the coaches. I'm sure the scheme has some to do with it, but eventually, if you're a first-round pick, you got to go out there and make a play. If you're being hyped up as a top 10 pick, it doesn't matter. You should be able to produce no matter the situation, no matter the coach.
And it's been mentioned a few times by numerous people. Their pad level's been horrible through both of the games. I mean, they're just playing too high right now. They're being pushed around, and they're too big of guys to be being pushed around like they are. And as both of you mentioned, the effort on both sides of the ball has just been embarrassing for players who are supposed to be at Florida State and supposed to be Florida State players. It's absolutely embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, Everett Dawkins pretty much said it straight up. Austin, we were listening to him, and he told us playing too high and guys being moved around by opponents that shouldn't really be competitive as much. I mean, maybe a few plays out of a drive, but it shouldn't really be competitive one-on-one like that. Definitely for a guy like, for Marvin Wilson, I don't want to keep on saying like a guy like Marvin Wilson because I think a lot of people now have realized that he's not in that top tier of a Timmy Jernigan, DeMarcus Christmas, Derek Nottie. That's just not the case. And I'm getting tired of hearing that. People came at me before the Miami game saying that Marvin Wilson is ahead of Timmy Jernigan, which was absolutely, I didn't know if I was in a nightmare, a dream, or if I had taken 5 shots of rum or something, but I couldn't imagine people were even saying that. But even putting them in the same tier, it's just not the case. That's just how it is until something flips a switch for him. That defensive line is really disappointing. We've already talked about it enough, but it's once again, though, you have to have something in this game on Saturday. And looking back the last 2 games, it hasn't been there. A positive out of –
Go ahead. Not to give away what Carlos was saying, what he says here later, but that perfectly encapsulates his team. The mindset they have. That's a perfect description of FSU 2020.
Well, let's jump into it. I'll play the snippet here. Last night for our Patreon members, our Chiefs, we actually had Carlos Williams came on. Obviously, a really successful running back at Florida State, switched from a DB to running back, ended up having a really good start to his career in the NFL with the Bills. But won a natty, went to the playoffs in 2014, had a successful run, was around the guys, alpha dogs, I guess you can say. And he gave his take on Darius Washington, Florida State starting offensive lineman, who said after the Georgia Tech game that it wasn't really a disappointing loss to him. And let me go ahead and run that snippet for you guys.
Watson.
Here we go. Let me see if you can hear it.
The players, they're not getting down about that loss.
You say disappointments. I don't see as disappointments.
The fuck? Turn this off. Turn this off. Bro, not disappointed. You lost to Georgia Tech with a freshman quarterback. You're not disappointed? Why are you playing football? You should quit. Go home. Go to school. Go to school for a living. You should just go get your degree and go work for somebody else. Because you sure enough can't play. You're not disappointed that you lost a football game, bro? A conference game at that to Georgia Tech. You thought Georgia Tech was a worthy opponent? I want to ask people for real. How many points you think Clemson's going to score on you? Logan. Let's keep it a buck. That really got me hot.
It depends on how many. No, it depends on how many Dabo wants to score.
Let's keep it a buck. Like, be honest with you, Dabo had a lot of respect for Jimbo. Wonder why? Jimbo went into Death Valley and we put the most points ever scored in Death Valley. More than points ever scored offensively by Clemson in Death. We scored the most points ever scored in Death Valley. We did. That day, Dabo said, that won't happen again, and I'm going to put some respect on my name. Dabo's played great football ever since then against Florida State. He's going to put up points. The freshman quarterback out of Brosco out there in California, number 5, the Flying Hawaiian, he going to put up points because he going to get a taste of it. You think 16 not going – and I hope that same O-lineman says, well, you say disappointment. I say they put up 52. Get out of here, bro. Stop playing football. I hope stop playing football. I hope your coach sees the interview, be like, bro, so you're not disappointed you just lost to Georgia Tech. Like, you're not disappointed you just lost. So how do you feel? You're not sad. You're not hurt. You're not pissed off. Like, you don't want to go out there and get a couple plays back.
It shocked me, man. That's when I after that interview, I kind of knew what the season was going to be before.
Bro, listen, we lost to NC State 16-17. Number 2 in the country, dog. I cried on that, bro. That plane was so quiet. That bus ride to the airport was so – the NC State. Yeah, we disappointed, bro. NC State. Who was their quarterback? Mike Glennon?
I don't know who.
Mike Glennon. We lost to Mike Glennon. Come on, dog. Come on. Be real. Come on. Yeah, it's disappointing. You lost to Georgia Tech. You should be disappointed. You should want to kill yourself. You lost to Georgia Tech. You go to Florida State. I'm keeping it, but you go to Florida State, dog. Mm-hmm. You go to Florida State, and you telling me that you lost to Georgia Tech wasn't disappointing? Why are you here? Why are you dressing up, and why are you suiting up wearing garden and gold? You have no respect and no pride about yourself. You're not disappointed for losing Georgia Tech. Bro, I piss on Georgia Tech, man.
Mm-hmm.
How many subs going to play against Georgia Tech today? They're going to run a triple option. How many subs going to play today? They changed the offense. Who cares? It's Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
I can't remember last time somebody really respected Georgia Tech of being a feared opponent in the ACC.
Yeah, see, I don't feel like also that, I feel like after someone says that in an interview like that, if it was in 2013, I feel like Timmy Jernigan, Telvin Smith, Alpha Dogs, and Marcus Joyner probably would have beat the living shit out of him.
They would have choked him. He would have been. We would have been sanctioned. We would have been sanctioned for hazing because we would have hung him by his toenails. Bro, we're gonna put fishing hooks in your toenails and hang you upside down till all the blood rushes to your head until you get some common sense. You lost your rabbit mind. You're not disappointed. You lost to Georgia Tech.
All right, so we are back from that. What are y'all's initial reactions from Carlos? Because we watched the video just a little bit ago, but that's something that I was looking forward to hearing. I mean, it had to be said. I mean, you look at Antonio Cromartie, he's being very vocal on Twitter. Mm-hmm. A ton of other former Noles, even Jacoby McDaniel, who was in that run in 2013. I mean, what are y'all's takes from it? Because I feel like it just got to be said eventually like that. Yeah, go ahead.
I think enough with the coaches. Like you said, Dustin, yeah, there's a little bit that could be said about some of the calls and the scheme and all that kind of stuff. But, these coaches have their hands tied behind their back right now. People you aren't successful and come to Florida State, a place that you're supposed to get better talent and a better talent pool to use and fall on your face. And, at the end of the day, it's accountability for the players. And these guys don't have that mindset to go out there and step on people's necks. There was self accountability with that team. We've talked about the leadership of Telvin and Marcus and all those guys. All those guys were feared because those guys didn't want to let each other down. And they knew that if you let the team down, you're going to pay a price. And this team does not have that mindset. They don't have that leadership. and that's what this team is missing. You know, you can say what you want about Carlos after the fact. You know, in the NFL, he's had his own struggles, but what he said is completely true. And the fact that all these players are starting to come out and say it, that should tell you, as a fan, this is player issue. This is not coaching issue. I'm tired of hearing all this shit about Norvell and you know, his inability to recruit, or he's over his head. Give me a break. Call it what it is. These guys are horrible. Florida State did a really shitty job evaluating. They brought in some guys who were paper 4 stars and 5 stars, just have not developed. You know, it's just a 4 and 5 year buildup of everything that's gone wrong has led to this. So it's just a really shitty place right now for Florida State to be in as a fan, because you want to see him get better. You think that you have talent there. I've said that I thought this team was talented, but you know, the physical talent doesn't matter if you don't have the mental part of the game.
And to me, it just kind of feels like they're not as afraid to fail as they should be. They're not recognizing that they're at Florida State, a place where you don't lose to Georgia Tech. You're at Florida State, a place where you don't get blown out 52-10 by Miami, and a place where we'll see what happens on Saturday, but a place where you don't play down to FCS teams. I mean, they have no sense of urgency when they're on the field. There's no passion out there. There's no fight. I mean, by the second quarter in that game, the majority of the veterans on that team had already packed it in. They quit. They didn't care. And, I mean, it's embarrassing to watch, you know, with how many guys on this team we expected a lot more out of, and guys that we thought would hold others accountable. They're just not doing it. And like you said, like I've said, we can't just blame the coaches. I mean, these coaches were successful at Memphis. They had successful players that held themselves accountable. And they've come to Florida State, and the players haven't been used to that for the past couple of years, and they just haven't adapted to it yet. And Norvell's just going to have to keep trying to instill his culture. And, you know, the guys that don't take on, they're not going to be on this roster next year.
Yeah, there's a tweet I saw for the Miami game that it kind of ties everything that we're all saying together, saying there's no coach that could get this team to 6 wins. And I really don't think there is. Because the culture is just so bad throughout the locker room. They've been babied for the last 3 to 4 years with no discipline, no anything. And now you've got a coaching staff that's had success and knows – I won't say they know how to win, but they've had success. And they're trying to change everything, but you still got this mental midget mindset. You can't get past it when the players just don't care.
Yeah, I'll use the mindset of the real world. Of you know, a 9 to 5. You know, when you look at, you know, you guys get a new manager in, there's still pushback. You know, there's still, you know, thoughts of the days before with the manager before, things you liked about them that you wish were still there. So, you know, you're going to test and you're going to try that new person, that new leadership, to see what you can get away with. And you know, these guys are used to just doing whatever they want. But it'd be very interesting to hear Carlos's opinion on, you know, like I said, in the 3 up, 3 down, these guys are just oblivious to what's going on. You know, I'd like to hear his thoughts on Corey Durden on that tackle for a loss on 3rd down and gets absolutely blown off the ball on 4th down. You know, that stuff wouldn't fly before. You know, that's just how it is right now.
Yeah. No, it's not it's just really, it's a shot culture program, and it's going to take a very long while, but it's just not, I mean, it's good hearing it from a guy that was, you know, they won one, and, you know, I just feel like during practices, I don't know what's happening. There's no leader on defense, no leader on offense. I don't know what's going on with Tamarion Terry. That's a whole nother discussion, but there's no leader, no one to make a big play. There's no one to make a big hit. There's no one to talk trash and back it up. You still got guys that are getting beat on.
Oh, they love talking trash just when they're down by 40 fucking points.
Yeah, well, they'll do that, or they'll choke other players. I don't know. It's just
like they talk a lot. That was one thing that made me really upset in the Miami game. I was watching the second half, and the Durden play was one that I noted, and then a couple other times, like there were some Florida State players chirping, and I'm like, for what? You're getting absolutely embarrassed right now on national TV in front of your families. Like this is embarrassing. This is more of a funeral than a football game.
Yeah, I don't know what 16's doing right now. I don't know what 16's doing.
Does 16 know what 16 is?
I don't know what 85 scholarship players are doing. Not just 16, all of them.
No, I'm number 16.
It's not all. It's not all.
Number 16.
It's a shame that the few are completely dwarfing guys like Travis Jay, Lawrence Toafili, those guys who are really trying to put forth the effort. Amari Gaynor, Stephen Dix Jr., Asante Samuel, guys who are really putting forth the effort and busting their tail, and are having solid starts to the season. Josh Griffiths, guys that are Cameron McDonald. You can list, there's 10, 15 guys who are really putting forth the effort that you want to see. But unfortunately, football is a team game, and it's the ultimate team game on defense. And when one's not doing the job, forget about it. So a lot of that young talent is on defense, and that's why it's infuriating to see a team that does have the pieces in a lot of places just can't figure it out. Can't figure it out, man. And that's where I really challenge, the mental fortitude of these guys. They just can't push through adversity. And maybe some of that's just being coddled as a high school player and as a recruit. That whole decommitment or de-recruitment, thing that colleges used to do. You can't do that anymore because you piss off a kid, he's going to go in the transfer portal. So you can't really be as tough on kids anymore as you used to. And we're seeing that. So, I don't want to say it's all 85 scholarship players. I just think that, it's the upperclassmen supposed leadership that's draining this program right now.
It has me wondering if some of the other players, the guys that have stepped up, supposedly stepped up as leaders, guys like James Blackman and Marvin Wilson, who we've mentioned a couple of times. I'm starting to wonder now if the players who are supposed to be listening to them and under their leadership just, they simply don't care what they have to say because they're fake leaders. Mm-hmm. They don't back up what they talk.
I think that James Blackman as a leader is overrated. He is likable as a teammate, but a leader doesn't act like he does when something goes wrong. You just don't. He doesn't push through. He sulks. He folds. That's not a leader. So if that's the leader of your team, your team's going to follow that lead. So, therein lies the problem.
Yeah, a leader is able to learn from their mistakes, and Blackman hasn't been able to do that throughout his 4 years. And you can say the same about guys like Marvin Wilson, who they're just not learning. And it's a shame that they're 4 years into their career and still have yet to learn anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I just feel that that should be a motivating part to go out and just get absolutely embarrassed on national TV. And they should come out and play flawless against a team that is outmanned. But they're going to come out with their tails tucked in, get punched in the mouth, and not know how to react. That's what's going to happen on Saturday.
Let's see here. What do we have? During that game against Miami, Travis Jay, which sucks. It seems like he's an up-and-coming star for FSU that, you have some promise there for a young guy. He was on crutches on the sideline. We'll see if we'll get an update on him. We haven't really heard anything on that front, but that's me and Nate had talked about it. That's one of our guys that we think have that dog mentality that is growing, that
he does,
that you want to see. And it's just terrible luck. Who's playing quarterback on Saturday?
Here, I have my. I don't care. So I have my.
You wrote that
thing right here. Okay.
You got
So
that
I got a
down.
whiteboard and I wrote this. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Tate Rodemaker. I don't care if it's Chuba Purdy. I don't care if it's Jordan Travis. I don't care if it's a walk-on. I don't care if it's Travis J. I don't care who it is. It cannot be this person right here, because this person right here is an absolute shit show of a quarterback. He's a mental midget quarterback. He cannot do anything that is asked of him other than a scripted first drive that he practices all week. Like I can't say enough. The probability is, though, that he probably starts, and that's extremely infuriating that you would trot him back out when everyone in their right mind can see that he is not the person. If y'all can see this, I don't know if you can see this, I'm anti-JB1. I have been for over a year and a half, and it's just getting worse and worse. So, you know, I would rather, if Chuba's not ready, I've made my case that I'm on Chuba Hive. If he's not ready, he's not ready. I'd rather go out with Tate Rodemaker, let him throw 30 interceptions, and figure it out, whatever it is. I would not play James Blackman anymore.
This team isn't going anywhere with Blackman as quarterback. He is what he is. So, like you just said, anybody but Blackman, we have a better chance of being able to have a quarterback that's going to learn. He's going to be able to grow from his mistakes, whether it's Rodemaker or Purdy or whoever. I think everyone would rather just take their lumps. We've said it for, 5 straight podcasts now? Just take our lumps with a freshman. Let's learn from our mistakes. That way we're in a better situation next year instead of sitting these guys all year when eligibility is a wash anyways. They come in next year with some experience under their belt, and they're better players from it. This is a perfect game for it. Blackman's not going to get in this game. Throw out Rodemaker or Purdy, who can hopefully light up an FCS defense and get some experience from it.
And no matter who the starting quarterback is, I mean, the way this season has started off and the way it's looking like it's going to go, this isn't going to be a successful season anyway, whether it's James Blackman back there or anybody else. So like you guys have said, put the guys in there who have a future in Tallahassee and who are the guys that Norvell wants under center. Blackman's not going to get any better. And, I mean, we saw some of Tate Rodemaker last game. Chuba Purdy, he might still be on the mend from that injury. But when Chuba is healthy and if Tate Rodemaker can play, put them in the game. I mean, the worst thing they do is play like James Blackman is already playing. And then we'd all be like, well, he's a true freshman instead of a guy who's been here for 4 years.
Mm-hmm. You know, I think some of the frustration of Tamari and Terry is coming back expecting to have a breakout year. And they maybe my mind is escaping me, but I cannot think of a true shot down the field for him. I cannot think of him being involved in the offense other than the second half of Georgia Tech when they kind of force-fed him the ball, 5 catches. So I think part of his frustration is that, and that also has an effect on the run game. Is no one is threatened by James Blackman throwing the ball down the field right now. So therein lies the problem of you become an offense that is predictable and now is also unfortunately you can't run, you can't throw, your quarterback can't do anything right. So I'd rather take, like Dustin said, take your chances with a kid who's young, gonna make mistakes for sure, but kind of doesn't know better and has that confidence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see on Saturday. I'll be there, and I will text you guys and let you guys know on who's going to be out there quarterback. I don't know who it will be, but I really have no idea.
I would not be surprised if they trot him out and he gets booed.
Well, I mean, it's been that way, but we've seen that in Doak Campbell. We've seen that in Doak Campbell Stadium before. We've seen it
loudly.
Yeah, we've seen it before with past players, and it's a Doak.
And
Doak is, well, I mean, Who's going to be there, though? Who's going to be in Doak Campbell Stadium? I mean, I'm going to be there, but
You're going to be
who else
there.
is going to be? I mean, 4 or 5 people.
You'll allow boo for us.
I'd love to be there because it's not, still the experience of a college football game is fun, So,
I will say, Nate, though, I will say, I mean, that's how I've always been, but I do like watching some other games that are, you get to see games. Like, I mean, that's how I thought I'd never say it, but I mean, it is nice watching other games that you see disciplined players that, doing assignments and.
Oh, for sure.
That's just I love being in Doak, though. I mean, I do. It's just a different time, and Civic Center is calling my name in a few months. Let's see. I want to just give one positive in here because I feel, I know everybody's listening.
I told you no positives anymore.
Can I say?
I told you in the instant reaction, there's no more positives. We got to keep it real.
Pessimism.
Mute me. This is my one positive from this. FSU opposing quarterbacks on all throws not targeting Asante Samuel. 72% completion. So it's bittersweet. 72% completion, 7.6 yards an attempt, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions versus Asante Samuel Jr. so far this season. 3 of 8 for 29 yards and 2 interceptions. So I've been high on Asante Samuel Jr. since last spring, and I thought this was going to be his big year, his bag year. And I'm excited for him. I mean, I think I didn't even know he was really playing on Saturday, and that's really a good thing because I remember watching games in 2013, 2014, and some guys, I didn't even know they were playing that night, but that's usually a good thing for a corner. He's doing his job and holding down his spot on the field with his whoever's wide receiver, blah, blah, blah. So Asante Samuel Jr. is at least a bright spot to look at.
So, he was chatty on last Saturday because he was going up against a former teammate in Harley, back at St. Thomas Aquinas. Mm-hmm. So, there's some history there. But also, man, Asante's earned that right to, like you said, Dustin, you can't talk shit unless you really are playing like it, unless you're playing like the man. And he is. He's one of the few, like we talked about earlier. Not every scholarship player has been bad. Not every player is bad right now. There are some good pieces to the puzzle. And it sucks for Florida State because, I fully expect Asante to move on to the NFL after this year. So, that year of eligibility is not going to matter because he's really showing that he's the guy who can play on the next level. You got to give shout out to him because he put a lot of work in over the summer. Got stronger. You can tell he got stronger. He looks faster. He looks better. And he's just that guy right now.
And the few completions he has given up, I feel like it's been in zone coverage when they were telling him to stay back.
Yes.
So even that's not a huge knock on him. He's been fantastic. And you could see it because Miami didn't target him at all, as far as I remember. They just went after Jerry Jones and Woodby and a couple other guys.
Den doesn't look fully healthy yet. He doesn't look fully explosive.
Mm-hmm.
Like he did last year. I think there's some lingering issues there, and that's I'd rather him sit and get healthy.
Yeah, especially as we've mentioned a few times, it's an eligibility wash year. Why waste a couple games that might hinder his career?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm happy for Asante, and that just goes to show you, man. Some people work their tail off during the off season, and he's on bag year, so he knows what he wants and what knows. Some guys just know where they need to go in order to reach their goals, man, and he's got a tunnel vision towards to the league, so he's got it figured out.
He's got that mindset that we heard from Carlos. He's a guy who would fit on that 13 team. Just want to go out and just compete and annihilate you. He's one of the few.
Yeah, and he's always been that way. Well, since he started, man. I mean, I remember going to the few practices, the first practice, spring practice under Taggart, and he was number one guy that was chirping. He would be chirping, and then he'd back it up, man. He had a pick. Who was it? On Francois in practice, and he could have brought it back. But, I mean, intercepted him after he was telling Francois that he was going to pick him off. And
so another pick six, he didn't return for a touchdown.
Yeah, if we could get that, I don't know where the speed, or maybe he just doesn't have the eye vision of a running back or an offensive player. You can tell why he's a DB, but I mean, at least when the ball hits his hands, he's able to execute and he's locking down his guys. So I'm excited to watch him on Saturday and watch him cover his guys. So top 3 worst segment this week. We're going to have a fun one here. Top 3 worst things we've seen so far. We'll kind of run through these pretty quickly before we get into our Jacksonville State preview. But top 3 worst things we've seen so far this season, gentlemen.
We're doing one per each like last week, because we all have the same 3.
Yeah, we can go just one. We'll do top worst thing we've seen so far this season.
Because I think Blackman is, goes without being said. I think if I was going to say it, Dustin was going to say it. If Dustin wasn't going to say it, Nate was going to say it. So I'll just get it out the way.
Go ahead, Dustin.
Go ahead, Dustin. You've been quiet. Wake up.
We've talked about it way too much, but I'll say the defensive line, just because we heard about all this hype and like we heard Marvin Wilson's going to be a top 10 pick. Durden's going to go to the NFL. Robert Cooper's going to go to the NFL. This is going to be Kando's breakout year, and he'd go to the NFL. I mean, he's been injured, so he has an excuse. And then Janarius Robinson, who also has done nothing this season. So far, they've combined that amazing, 5 players. They've combined for 0 sacks and 0 tackles for loss through 2 games, and it's just, it's terrible to see. And Nate, you said it, I said it. People have been like coming at me on Twitter like, oh, well, they did good last year. They have different coaches. That's got to be the problem. No, the hell it's not. They just don't care. It's hard to fathom. And
they don't even have a different coach. It's the same coach.
Yeah, they've got Odell.
That's the one position group that had the same coach.
I guess that Adam Fuller is making them all not produce now for some reason.
A
lot of excuses.
Well, I was going to say real quick, Dustin.
Go ahead.
I was looking at it real quick. Sorry, Nate. I was gonna say I was looking. Keyshawn Helton has only 2 less tackles than Marvin Wilson. Wyatt Rector has only 2 less tackles than Marvin Wilson. Zane Herring. Wait, no, not Zane Herring. An offensive lineman, I believe, has 1 less or 2 less tackles than Marvin Wilson. It's just. It's I don't know. I've lost like all my words I can say. It's.
He got hype on Saturday after he tackled that guy forward for nearly a first down when they were down by 30.
And then got a targeting penalty.
Oh yeah, so we won't even see him during the first half against Jacksonville State, which
I know I didn't.
We haven't really seen him the first 2 games of the season anyway. It's not much of a difference.
My negative. I kind of want to say pass rush, but I think that would go into the defensive line as a whole. But I'm going to go to Tamarion Terry, mainly because, here's a guy who comes off a 1,000-yard season. Debate easily that you can debate on him being one of the top playmakers in the country. Is he one of the top all-around receivers? Not yet, but when it comes to being a playmaker, he's one of the top in the country. We all chirped about, how great he looks with the added weight. Oh my gosh, he's going to be a monster in the system. And he hasn't done jack crap. And I know, it's harder to lose your grandma on someone that he's super close to. But, again, why not use that for motivation and for focus to, honor something like that instead of you go out and you play like dog shit against Miami and you get a personal foul for chirping and for choking the guy out or trying to choke a guy out. You let a guy that get in your head the entire game when you're a better football player than him. So, for me, it's just very disappointing to see him come back and just look awful.
Mm-hmm. Mine is just really, everybody's got the biggest ones, but for me, it's also a mix of just the mentality of the team. I thought we'd see more of guys executing plays when they're put in the right positions, and they have been. We looked at Georgia Tech. That was 4 missed touchdowns they had. And, there's just no competitive drive against a rival. There's no mentality to fight and actually be able to back it up if you're going to chirp. There's just no kind of calling people out, no accountability. And I thought there'd be a better start of that. I thought obviously it was growing and it was going to take a year or two, but I thought there'd be a better start for this whole team. And there's not really good communication on both sides of the ball. And it doesn't seem like guys are really wanting to try. And obviously you're getting blown out in Miami, but it's just not even a game going into the second half. It's just there's no drive. And, I'm glad Carlos Williams told it just how it is. It's real. Guys, if you don't have the pride and you don't even respect your own self, and if you don't even respect your own self, there's no way in hell you're going to try to go out there and shout wearing garnet and gold and wearing a Florida State uniform. There's just no way. And that's just the case for me. Mentality right now, unless Florida State blows out Jacksonville State like they should, because the talent level isn't even close. But unless something changes again on Saturday, I think this mentality team right now is shot. And be the team, it might be the whole program. All right, let's jump into Jacksonville State preview real quick. They're bringing in a quarterback who obviously was a Clemson transfer, Zarek Cooper. He's been their starter for the last 2 seasons. This is crazy right here. He has put up 6,800 passing yards with 60 touchdowns and 26 interceptions. Like I said earlier at the beginning, he can also run a little bit if he needs to. 709 yards on the ground. And 12 more scores on that front. So, guys, Florida State's facing a quarterback here that has had some good experience and can throw the ball. So now you're going to have to look at that defensive line to make a rush, and then also your DBs for some big plays.
Nightmare scenarios,
26 interceptions is a lot. 26 INTs is a lot. So let's just start there. Let's start with the positive. Here's a guy who's put up really good stats on a lower level, but is still turning the ball over. Here's the reason why he left Clemson. He's not going to play over Lawrence. He's not going to play over I don't even know how to say his last name, Udele or whatever, or TJ Fomakana. He's not going to play behind those guys. So there's a reason why he transfers. But, he's still at a lower level, and he's still got 26 interceptions. So he's prone to turn the ball over. So, there's a chance Florida State can generate some turnovers here in this game. But on the flip side, this is, again, the quarterback that Florida State time and again has nightmares with, an athletic quarterback who can make plays when, things break down, gets out of the pocket on his feet, because he's going to run it or throw it. It gives FSU fits. So, here we go again. And Florida State hasn't shown me anything that they can stop it.
Like you said, Nate, they've shown us nothing. Like they've at least in that Miami game, they were able to get into third down situations. So I guess maybe that's a little bit of a confidence booster that they can do well enough on first and second down, and maybe some coaching throughout this week and help them a little bit in their strategies and things they want to do differently on third down situations moving forward. But
11 of 16 for third down. So it's
there's not really much confidence on my end from this defense from the top to the bottom. Asante Samuel, Mari Gaynor, Steven Diggs Jr., Josh Griffiths, Travis J. Those are some of the only guys that I can really even think of that have done anything this season. And none of those are, besides Asante, are the stars you thought you would have on defense coming in.
All I'll say is if the defensive line can't get pushed in this game against an FCS team in Jacksonville State,
They're getting roasted.
Just cancel the defensive line. I'd rather play with linebackers at defensive line.
Kicker Ryan Fitzgerald, we're going to see you on defensive end next week.
If he brings more effort, then sure.
Yeah, let's look here. Their starting running back for Jacksonville State is Michael Matthews. He's back after scoring 8 total touchdowns in 2019. He had a 4.6 yard per carry average. He rushed for 585 yards. Kind of threat here maybe for Florida State's defense is tight end Trey Berry. He's a 6'7", 245-pound guy. Could possibly be a mismatch for Florida State. I think Florida State at least defensively did as best as they could against Miami's tight ends. Obviously, they had a very nice and solid game against Louisville the weekend before. But this is a threat here. He averaged 14.1 yards per catch during his career. He's averaging 14.1. Also, they've lost 5 of their top 7 pass catchers. Matthews and Berry are the 2 returning. Their top returning wide receiver had 4 catches for 24 yards in 2019 . If you're kind of getting the gist here, it's not impressive.
so he's going for 10 for 150 and 2 scores.
Defensive end DJ Coleman could be a big threat against Florida State's offensive line. He had 10.5 tackles for loss, 5 sacks in 2019. So this could be an interesting thing to watch. DJ Coleman on the Jacksonville State side of the ball. Also, their defense only forced 13 total turnovers a season ago, allowed over 380 yards on offense per game. So not really a too impressive team. It's crazy that we are previewing Jacksonville State game. I remember in 2016 or so, Dustin, we didn't even really preview games like this. We kind of just gave the score.
I want to say in 2018, the Sanford game that ended up being a lot closer than anyone expected. The second game of the Willie Taggart era, we didn't even preview that bitch. We were just like, "Nah, Florida State's gonna win." I was up in the press box, and I was like, "Wow, I regret that decision." Making the same mistake today, boys. Trust me.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it. We've already kind of given our keys throughout this whole thing and whatnot. There's no reason to just keep on going at it. But what is y'all's score predictions for Saturday? Florida State plays at 4 p.m. in Doak Campbell Stadium, second home game of the season. Mike Norvell will be back on the sideline after he missed out on the Miami game. But what is y'all's score prediction for could be a matchup on Saturday afternoon?
It's tough to even give a prediction.
It's over there talking on mute.
Yeah. It's tough to even give a prediction on a game like this because we don't know which Florida State's going to or what Florida State's going to show up. Not even which one. Is there another version of this Florida State team we haven't seen yet? And we've said it a few times. Can we even get to 27 points? I don't think there's any chance in hell we cover the 27-point spread. I bet so hard on Jacksonville State covering that spread. I'll say Florida State 31, Jacksonville State 17.
Wow.
Any other takers there? Anybody else want to give a score prediction?
I'm just still trying to.
Oh, I'll give mine. I'll give mine.
Florida State to win by 14.
Yeah, I'll let Dustin go last.
I had a lone score 31.
Yeah, I'm going to go Florida State. I'm going Florida State 24, Jacksonville State 17.
And Nick's on mute, so we can't hear him.
Yeah, I know.
He might have his wife.
I'm going Florida State. Florida State 21. Jacksonville State 16.
Oh, God.
So
wouldn't that be the same as the Stanford game? Isn't that what the Stanford game was a few years ago?
I think it was like 40 something.
There was one game. I could have sworn it was an FCS game that it was just like that.
Well, in 2009, Jacksonville State played Florida State pretty close. I think it was 13-9 or something like that. Let me pull this score up real quick.
Yeah, they got a late interception or something like that, if I remember right, to ice the game.
Yeah, Nigel Bradham drilled the quarterback as he threw.
Yeah.
19-9. I'm surprised. They actually won by more than I thought.
21-16, a nail biter.
You guys ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. We're ready for you, Princess.
So ever since last Saturday, I've had a gut feeling that Florida State's going to lose this game. I think I texted one of my friends Saturday night, and I said, next weekend, Florida State will lose to Jacksonville State. And nothing they've said or done throughout the week has made me feel any different. I don't think we're going to see a different product from Florida State. They're not suddenly going to start playing a lot better. And if Jacksonville State comes out in this game and gets an early lead and forces Florida State to deal with some adversity, I don't know how they're going to respond. As a team, they've only scored 23 points on offense in 2 games. I'm just not confident that they can produce on either side of the ball. I'm going to go Jacksonville State 24, Florida State 20, Florida State 0-3. And they lose to an FCS team. Maybe the players will be a little bit more embarrassed after this one. Talking about all these moral victories and shit.
It's bold. It is bold.
An L's an L.
It might not even be bold.
If that happens, man, you might as well cancel the Discord because that thing's going to blow up. There's going to be mass hysteria in Tallahassee if that happens.
Yeah.
Give me chaos.
We already have enough chaos. We don't need
it. No chaos.
Jacksonville State wins. I'm definitely hopping on here for the instant reaction pod. 1,000%.
I think we'd have everybody interested in coming on. I don't even know if we'd be able to allow Carlos on for that one. Can you imagine if we had Carlos Williams, Telvin Smith, Timmy Jernigan? Oh, my God. Anyways, hopefully optimism over here. Hopefully that is not the case and Florida State absolutely routs Jacksonville State and you see a different side of program. But, hopefully that's fingers crossed.
I just think Eric Cooper's probably going to throw for 350 yards. And E.J. Coleman, that defensive end you mentioned, Logan, I can see him getting 2 or 3 sacks with the way those offensive tackles look.
I was saying
I hope not, but I don't have the confidence to be able to pick Florida State.
If they play the youth movement, I do think Florida State wins a little bit more.
No, I agree.
But, I need to see that. I think if they go with the youth movement, I think, the first quarter and a half will be tight. But I do think that, that will be again that Florida State will probably win by, 14 or more.
I think the young players would just fight a lot harder. Austin kind of nailed it earlier when he called the veterans mental midgets, and that's exactly what they are. Whenever they get into a game that they should whip an opponent, they don't. Whenever they get into a dogfight, they figure out a way to lose, and just doesn't give me any confidence in this group.
Yeah, if we start seeing like we did at the end of the Miami game, where it's guys like Poitier, Toafili, Rodemaker getting all these snaps, I think we win by a lot more because they've at least shown for a quarter that they really want this and that they want to go after it. I've yet to see that from any of the regular starters on the team except for a handful.
Let's go into our FSU trivia before we end off the episode. Every week we just ask a question. I ask a question to the guys on here and see if they get it right. So I'm gonna go back. We did the Georgia Tech stats, so I'm gonna bring back the stat kind of trivia here, and I'm gonna go to the Miami game. It's good. It's a good like wake up call too, because I had a lot of wake up.
I just don't like it when you're like, who was the 7th leading tackler? Like, who cares?
Who was Florida State's top rusher on Saturday against Miami?
Lawrence Philly.
Who was their second?
Jordan Travis.
Who was their third?
Couldn't tell you.
Corbin.
Yeah, Corbin or someone that was like 4 yards rushing.
Yeah, it had to be Corbin.
I remember Corbin had that one long run, so I'm going with Corbin.
Yeah, Corbin ran really well that game, I thought.
When he's got a little bit of blocking, he's actually a pretty solid back. He just does a lot of blocking.
Who was Florida State's second leading receiver on Saturday?
Jordan Travis. 1 catch for 4 yards.
I feel like it's Toafili.
Corbin.
It's one of the backs. It's either Corbin or Toafili. I'm sticking with Toafili.
I'll say Ontario Wilson.
That's a good one. Yeah.
It's Toafili.
Let's go.
It is the true freshman running back. So he led the team in rushing and came in second in receiving. Cameron McDonald had him at 58 to 35. So, in receiving yards. So that is some interesting stuff to keep an eye on moving forward. Once again, Amari Gainer's your leading tackler. Travis Jake actually came in at number 2 with 7 tackles, and Brennan Gannett 7. So, some youngins making some moves there on the defensive side, tackling wise. But
we didn't give. No one's giving Brennan Gannett his props. He didn't play much at all versus Georgia Tech. He's an enforcer back there. He needs to play more. And while the game was out of hand, he was still bringing it the entire game that he was in. That's why I think if you go with those players, those young guys, I think you're going to see a better product. It'll be unfinished, but it will be a better product.
Mm-hmm. Anything else, gentlemen? Anybody else have anything else?
Youth movement
on Saturday. Is that what everybody's expecting? Youth movement. We'll see it.
Oh, Cox.
What in the world?
Not the first time he said that.
No.
Jacksonville State Gamecocks. Come on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There you
Hey,
go.
we never asked Dustin about Boston's lost in the conference finals.
Yeah.
How you been holding up? Yeah.
After losing, Celtics done. Miami Heat.
We made it farther than Golden State, Dallas, and I don't know who Nate's team is, but we probably made it farther than them.
At least Dallas had an excuse. What's Boston?
We have an excuse. Our third best player sprained the hell out of his ankle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we have no centers. And we suck.
I love how
only one team ends the year happy every season in every sport. So this wasn't us this year. We'll get them in 2021.
It's cute.
That is so sweet. Pick up your participation trophy here after the podcast.
We fought hard, all right? I respect the effort.
Shut up.
Not the outcome.
Oh, my God.
Now I get you to edit more articles now, so we'll be good to go. No excuses for recording podcasts and everything. We got him, guys. He's full send on Florida State football or the Jacksonville Gamecocks. We'll see after Saturday. Let me go and shout out our 10 Patreons real quick. You can sign up to be a Patreon at patreon.com/NoleGameDay. The Discord is rolling, the most active community, I think, right now. That is at patreon.com/NoleGameDay, where Nate Greer gives his recruiting insider nuggets. I also give quite a few on things all over the football program, and Austin does a great job on giving us some scoop on basketball since that's starting to turn up. So that's at patreon.com/NoleGameDay. Let me shout out our 10 latest guys here. Mossberg 22, Garrett, Will Schnott, Justin Augie, Ugo Uday, Nick Miranda, Jimmy Cherry, Jake Radom, Joey McDaniel, Ebo, and Stua, and Tyrone Collins. Appreciate you guys for becoming Patreons. Thank you guys so much. As always, you can listen to this episode on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube. If you're listening live right now, feel free to share it with your Facebook groups, retweet it on Twitter, give it a like. We'd really appreciate it. And if you're on iTunes, feel free to rate us 5 stars and leave a review. It helps a lot. But thank you guys. Everybody enjoy the game on Saturday. Kickoff is at 4 o'clock on RSN, also ESPN 3. We'll be giving full game coverage also. So appreciate you guys. Enjoy the game Saturday. Enjoy the weather. We'll talk to you guys next week.